Most people think that finding a deal on Zillow today is impossible. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you why that's not the case. I'm going to sit down on my computer. I'm going to show you exactly how we find deals on Zillow, the exact process, and something that you probably have never heard of that we do on a continuous basis. Either we do it dealing with listings or we do it to find listings that are available ourselves. Something that most people would never even think to try. Now, Zillow is not set up for you to be able to find deals. It's not. It's set up to have new traffic. It's set up to have new flows of inventory coming in and going off. That's the way they set up their systems, okay? So they don't, the program, the process, the website is not designed for you as a consumer to be able to go on there and easily find what you're looking for and get discounts and look at inventory and certain homes that have been on the market for a long time. But I'm going to show you exactly how to get around that, how to dig through all of that junk, and how to find yourself a great deal using a specific strategy with homes that are already under contract. Issue that if you stay up with it, you follow up with the people properly, you do exactly what we say, you will most likely be able to execute a deal one way or another. And you'll have no competition from other investors or from other parties looking to do the same thing. It just doesn't exist in this realm. And I want to show you exactly how to do that.
I'm on Zillow's main website here, and my apologies if that's a little hard to hear. My other microphone broke, but bear with me. The first thing you want to do here is just type in the state. And of course, we're looking at Florida, okay? So we're going to type in Florida. All right? We're going to come to this. Now, Zillow does not want you to be able to filter out properties that have been on the market for a long time. They're interested in fresh listings. They don't really want you to look at only pending transactions. That's not what they want you to do. But that is our strategy. We're looking for properties that have been on the market for a long time and are currently under contract. Okay, that's what we're trying to dig out of this. All right. So you also, if you're not looking in Florida, you got to understand what the average price is in the state. Okay, you got to understand that, and you don't want all kinds of low price properties. So you got to stay within the general parameters of the average prices. So in this case, we're going to come in here, and we're going to keep it on for sale. The price here, we're going to go 300,000 to about 500,000 in Florida, which is going to cover most of the inventory in the areas. Okay. That'll be I think the average price is about $400,000 in the whole state. So this covers that range, okay? And the more of this you can look at in the state, if you're comfortable doing it all over the state, the more options you're going to have, the more likely you will be to get deals. If you can do it, if you can take the time to do this, then it'll be very beneficial if the more properties you have to call on, okay? But for the purposes of this, I'm going to focus in where I'm at, which is Tampa Bay, okay? Now, beds and baths. You at least want to get a 2-bedroom house. You know, you don't want a 1-bedroom house, which there are out there, a single family home. You want 2 bedrooms, all right, minimum. Now, property type, for me and for most people, the biggest market share is going to be single family properties. Townhomes come with HOA fees. There's not as big of a market. Condos in Florida, massive issues with HOA fees. You really don't want to get involved with that. Land you can do, but they sit on the market longer. It's a little harder to negotiate. You don't want manufactured properties here because of hurricanes, okay? There's big hurricanes that come through here. Manufactured homes the market's a lot smaller for them. Insurance is problematic, okay? So I stay away from those. Your single family home is where you want to be at, all right? Did that go through? Okay. Now, filters, this is the most important part, all right? So max HOA, you can leave that alone because you can vet that later. What I don't want is any of this. I only care about agent listed properties because that's our strategy. Now, listing status, you notice that they don't let you take off active listings. They won't let you do that, okay? So what you have to do is, I don't want coming soon. I want to see this. I only care about pending and under contract properties. But because Zillow does not have a filter purposely so that you can only look at these properties, you have to dig through the active listings and physically find pending transactions. This is the point where most people will not take the time to do this. They won't do it. They won't call the agents. They won't build rapport with them. They want the easy route. This is not easy. This is a way to find deals, but it takes a little bit of work. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. All right, none of this stuff we care about. Okay, This stuff doesn't matter. This stuff doesn't matter. You can have 55 if you want. I don't want it, so I'm gonna take it off. But you can if you do decide to invest in something like that. All this view stuff, none of that matters. Now, days on Zillow. Now, this can confuse people. If you're looking here and you set this to 90 days, you might think, okay, it's 90 days or beyond. Like the property's been on the market for 90 days and or up to 10 years, but that's not the way it works. With Zillow, if you put 90 days in here, what it does is it limits it to 90 days. So it's from day 1 to day 90 and nothing beyond that. So they really don't want you looking at properties that have been on the market for a long time, which is exactly what we're looking for, and I'm going to show you how to get around that in just a second. Okay, so for this, it's very important that you leave this at any. And then with regards to keywords, you want to put motivated here, which you see that it's already saved for me, and then hit apply. Okay, now there's 1,247 results for this in Florida. You can go it probably take you a few days to go through this, but if you go through 1,247 results, you're going to find that you'll have a lot of properties to call on and to build rapport on. It'd be a really good thing to do. But for the purposes of this, I'm simply going to go and type in Tampa, Florida. Okay, Tampa, Florida. All right, so that I'm in my little zone here. Now there's 26 results. That's not enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to remove this boundary and draw an area. Okay, so I'll draw this zone here, something like that. Okay, so it kind of covers the greater Tampa Bay area. Hit apply. All right, 354 results. That's more amiable. Okay, so what you want to target is you want to do this. You want to get about 25 to 50 properties that you can call agents on. Okay, because out of those 25 to 50 properties, you're probably going to get anywhere, if you call 25 properties, you're probably going to get 5 or 6 agents that are willing to work with you, that you can follow up with, that you can talk to, and that one of those deals will probably fall apart. So out of every 25 properties you can find, there's potential for one of those to really be a good deal. I say 50 because if you get 50 properties, chances are you're going to execute a deal on one of those. Every 50 properties you do this for is about the going rate. Okay, now we're at the point here where this is where we find the deals. This is how we get in there. Now you see over here this sort button. So when you look at this, Zillow doesn't let you filter things out by how long it's been on the market, but they do let you do it based on the newest. Okay, but they don't have an option for the oldest. So again, they don't want you doing this. You can tell by the way the website's set up. Click on newest. All right, now you see here that you have the option to look at the brand newest listing. Not what we're looking for. All you gotta do is come out to the bottom right here, go to page 9. Okay, this is going to be the oldest properties on the market. All right, this is what we're looking for here. Come all the way to the bottom of the list and start clicking through all of these properties. You want to click on each and every one, any one of them that says pending, under contract, accepting backup offers, any of that stuff. That's the properties, that's the only properties we care about. We don't want active listings. We do not want those. Our strategy is very simple. We're accumulating a list of properties that are already under contract, that nobody's looking at, that nobody's trying to negotiate with. That's what we want. That's where there's no competition, and we're reaching out to those agents to find out the status of the deal. Very simple. Susie, I really like this house. I've been looking at it on Zillow. I've had it on my favorites for a long time. Is this property going to go through? Yes or no? And they will usually give you an idea of what's going to happen with it, especially if you're just buying the house. You're just there to buy the house. Okay, so let's see if we can find an example of one real quick. Nope, that one, see right here, for sale. You're not interested in that. Back to search. Okay, let me look around here if I recognize any of these. Let's check this one out. Nope, that one's for sale too. So you see, you got to go through this. It's a little bit tedious, but as you go through it, you'll finally get a list. You'll start seeing these lists of these homes that are going to be under contract. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We found one that's pending. Now again, you want to get it's tedious because you have to go through a lot of these, but you just want to simply first identify the pending and then save it in your categories. All right, go through the whole list, go through everything, and just save as many as you can into your save categories. And then you want to come back to each property and vet them. All right, and here's the vetting process. So the first thing I like to look at is the Zestimate. Okay, now sometimes if you're listing a house, you can take the Zestimate figure off. It's easy to do. All right, and that's what we do. And you see that there's no Zestimate here, but there is a lot of properties that do show the Zestimate. And if they show you the Zestimate, it gives you an idea of the value of the property. Okay, so if you get that Zestimate here, that's a really good thing, because typically the Zestimate is going to be within 5% of the actual sales price of the house. So it gives you a pretty good indication of what is the value of the house. Okay, now you see here, this is perfect. 285 days on Zillow. All right, so what do you and look at this, low views, no saves. This is a stagnant property. All right, so what do you think the mind frame of this seller is if they cannot sell this property? If they can't sell this property and this house comes back on the market, then most likely they're going to be amiable to whoever's lined up. Now, if you can get buddy with that agent and you can go in there and say, hey, I want to buy this house. I love this house. I just looked at this house. It's no longer available. I'm super sad about that. Can I put in a backup offer? And you're going to work directly with that agent. You're not going to have your own agent. You're going to work directly with that agent. Then number one, they're going to get paid more money if they do execute the contract with you. And number two, they have something in place in case it does fall apart. So you're going to run into circumstances where the agents, the deal's not going to fall apart, but that's why you need big numbers. You need to save these. You need 25 to 50 of these properties, because a lot of them are not going to be something you want to pursue. Again, a handful of them will be, and all of these are going to be based on the deals. Now, you can read through all this stuff, but the most important thing is finding these, putting them in a save category, and then coming back and verifying how long they've been on the market. You want things on the market for a long time. The longer the better. If you get to where it's 90 days or less, you probably want to wait a little longer. So you're looking at properties that are 90 days or more, and you dig through this, you go through that, you can go through all the photos, check it all out, but you want to accumulate a list of 25 to 50 properties like this and start calling the agents. That's the strategy.
Is you're not going to have anybody to compete against. There's nobody doing this. There's nobody who will take the time to build relationships with agents, with properties under contract, and actually go out of their way to put backup offers in and to make these kind of deals work out. Remember that implementing this strategy is the most important thing, is the relationship you have with the current listing agent. When you start digging into these under contract properties and you start finding sellers that had the house on the market for a long time, they finally got a buyer, they're under contract, and now it's falling apart, what you're going to run into is sellers who are fed up. They're just fed up. They're either going to cancel this and just let the property sit there, or they're going to be willing to take a lower price, or they're not going to they're just not going to sell it at all. Okay? You want that seller who's sick and tired of it. They've lost their motivation. They want the property gone. They thought they had it gone, and now this is a massive disappointment to them. At the same time, the agent, in most of these cases, they want to get paid, and they just realize they're not going to get paid. They got to put the house back on the market. They got to start marketing the property. They got to start the process all over, and that big gap in time where the house went under contract and it sat there for 30 or 45 days, then it has to go back on the market. All of those days on market still are logged in on Zillow. They're still there. There's still a major negative to the property. And the agent knows that, the seller knows that. And in this kind of circumstance, with the right kind of seller and the good relationship you develop with the agent, is where you'll find the discounts. And you can get some nice discounts from this. You can get, if they have the property listed at $400,000 or $500,000, you find out what the contract price is, you can easily get a 10% discount off of that contract price, which is going to give you a phenomenal deal on the property, especially if it went through a financing contingency and had an appraisal done on it. You'll find that that is a solid deal. Another great thing about this, most people are not going to do this. So you'll find that you'll see yourself as the only person that party is going to want to deal with, okay? And if they're willing and motivated enough, you'll find that you'll get these great deals. It's a phenomenal strategy. Nobody's doing it. So if you're interested in something like this, if this makes sense to you and you're around the Tampa Bay area, give us a call. We implement it all the time. We don't just implement it from an investment standpoint, but we see people do this as listing agents. When we have a house that we have listed, this happens, and this is where we come up with the strategy, simply because somebody did it by accident. Somebody came in, a buyer came in, they really did love the house, they really wanted to buy it, and the circumstances of the transaction fell apart. They were next in line, they got a nice discount, and they bought the property. It's just the way that things worked out. So again, if you're buying and selling in this area, we're here, happy to help. All right, take care, guys.